Good morning. I'm Rosemary DeTrolio, and you're listening to the Lightwalker's Path. It's a place to develop new insights, find your soul's purpose, hear enlightening conversation, and be inspired. Good morning. I'm Rosemary DeTrolio, the host of the Lightwalker's Path, Grow Your Spirit with Rosemary. Join me every 10 o'clock on Tuesday Eastern to develop your insights and find your soul's purpose. You can find replays on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, other streaming platforms, and also posted on my website at rosemaryd.com. So I'm glad that you showed up today to hear my guest and I. My guest today is going to be Kelly Malcolm. She's a mastery coach, a spiritual teacher, a card reader for tarot cards. She's experienced as an attorney and helps individuals transform through mindset, spiritual alignment, and universal principles. She has 25 years of experience in intuitive coaching and guidance. She empowers her clients to find their purpose. She has many tools for inspiring insight. And in February, her book is coming out called The Spiritual Path to Growth and Transformation. So I want to welcome Kelly Malcolm to the show. I'm excited to have her on again. She's an awesome woman, and we have a lot in common. So come on in, Kelly.
Well, good morning, Rosemary. Yes, we
Good
do have a
morning,
lot in
Kelly.
common. Yeah.
We do. Just reading your bio, I'm like, oh, we both do, spiritual teaching. We both work with inspiration and shifting
Hmm.
people, and we right. So that
Right.
is just very exciting. So your new book that's coming out, um, you did you have another one before this, or this is the first one? Because I think on last podcast you mentioned, was this the one you've been
Yeah,
working on?
this is the one I've been working on. I had one previously that Spirit downloaded, which was called Sidestepping the 12 Steps, Using
Okay.
Metaphysical Principles to Move Beyond Addiction. And Spirit's
Okay.
been poking me, right? Saying, I want you to
Okay.
do this book. And so it's called Awaken the Power Within.
Oh,
That's kind of like the
within.
title, and it's your spiritual path
Oh,
for growth
okay.
and transformation.
I love
And
that.
it was just a download, Rosemary, and I thought it would be about 50 pages. But when I gave it to the publisher, it's 169. So
Yeah, they just know.
they
Yeah,
get
that's
wordy.
how it happens. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Love that. I find that a lot of us that are aware and we have this like energy, we're all getting pieces of different things that it's supposed to come out at this point
Mhm.
in time. And I know there's a lot to do with like shifting and changing of consciousness that has been happening probably since the 60s and on.
Oh,
But there's
yeah.
been such a big change recently that all of us that are doing this work are all coming out and we're being brave, and we're kind of putting it out on the line and putting our neck out there saying this is who we are, this is what we believe, and
Mhm.
just really to kind of guide people. And I find people will find the right people with the right information when they're supposed to hear it. Don't you think that?
Oh, I agree. And what's
Yeah.
interesting, you mentioned how people are getting bits and pieces of the information. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so true. It's like,
Yes.
spirit will open up a window. And I'm sure
Yes.
you've experienced that where all of a sudden you'll get an insight or a download. And then
Yes.
later on in the day or the week, more of the puzzle or more of the puzzle pieces come together for you. And you're like,
Absolutely.
oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, or you get these synchronicities, these coincidences. So, as a channel, like I channel the angels, and it's
Hmm.
always a download, and I never know what's going to come in. And if I set myself, okay, I want to do this, I'll get like this consciousness flow, and I'll get stuff. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. And then I'll go look it up later. I'm like, oh, that's a real thing. And
Yes,
it always astounds me the information that comes in when we're ready for it and when we're open to it,
it,
right?
it is. Yeah. And, the other thing I'm noticing, and maybe you are too, is more people are questioning what I call the matrix, the
Yeah, yeah.
reality that they're
What's real,
living
what's
in.
not. Yes.
And
Yeah.
especially younger people that are in their 20s and their
Yeah.
30s, kind of
Yes.
asking, is this true? Or maybe is it true for
Yeah,
me?
that's
And
right.
then that takes them on a journey.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what's happening too is that all this strangeness is happening around us, with those things flying around and like,
Yep.
you don't know what's what. So people are like, I wonder if there's more than what I'm seeing here. And I think there's always been. It's just that I think when people are ready to know, you'll be able to understand more. It's like you almost have to believe it's there before you see what's there in a way,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have
Yep.
to have that leap of faith to say, well, okay, I'm open to the possibility of, and then we'll see what happens, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like keeping a corner of your mind open that there
Yes.
might be another explanation,
Yes. Yes. Kind of like
something
an
that you
umbrella.
haven't thought about. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Doesn't work unless it's open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also, I put a note out today on Facebook that during the program today, if anyone texts or calls, I can do like an automatic card draw or something for that
Hmm.
person. So that's out there as well if anyone is interested. When I channel, and I channeled a message for today too, it's I don't use cards to channel. However, I have my cards here because they're a quick, fun, easy way
Yeah.
to just do something fast for people. So we'll talk about that probably very shortly.
Hmm.
So I'm going to ask you, what are the best ways for you that you stay open and grounded at the same time to all the work that you do? Because I know that you're a lawyer as well as doing stuff with the tarot cards in the spiritual
Hmm.
realm. So you walk a foot in each world like I do. So
Yeah.
how do you stay focused and grounded when you feel a little bit off? Or do
Oh,
you? You do.
not anymore. Not really. There might be things that come in,
Mm,
that will throw you off kilter, and then
a little,
it's more
yeah.
a technique that I use. But it's how I start the day. I do
Mm-hmm.
not get out of bed until I have a gratefulness or a thankfulness in my heart for this day, that I
Yes.
realize this day is a gift. So
Yeah.
I'm not someone who leaps out of bed and, all of a
Yeah.
sudden I'm rushing around. No. Mm-mm. Then the
Yes.
next thing I do is I journal. And I
Mm,
always journal my gratitudes and my thoughts. Just
beautiful.
getting any thoughts that might be out there,
Yeah.
capturing them and putting them on paper, right?
That's
Then I
awesome.
meditate, and it could
Uh-huh.
be 5 minutes, it could be 10. And then
Mm,
one of the most important techniques I learned, and I learned this from Joseph Tittle, who people might know him as JT Spirit Man.
mm-hmm.
He teaches you ground, shield, and protect. So when
Mm-hmm.
I get dressed in the morning, I have my sage and I clean
Mm-hmm.
off any energy. I ground right into the
Mm-hmm.
earth. Then
Mm-hmm.
I visualize a white ball, and that's my ball of protection, and I have it expand, into
Mm-hmm.
whatever field. And then I have a golden ball that I take and I expand that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's my shielding. So I ground, shield, and protect every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And if things get off kilter, then it's more a matter of I pause, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, this isn't feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
What breathe? Sometimes it's breathing, sometimes it's disconnecting from that thought,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have to think about it right now. Just because
Yeah.
it's demanding, it's like a child, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
because it's demanding doesn't mean
Don't
I
believe
have
everything.
to respond, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I would say
yeah,
it's like you're a little 5-year-old inside that wants yelling for attention. So it's like I
yeah,
don't believe everything you think. It's interesting when you were saying about what you do. In the morning I do the same. I wake up and I say thank God for this day,
hmm,
and for me, I do some grounding, like I just kind of go outside and put roots down. But for
hmm,
me, I don't really go when I was really new, like years ago, I felt more of a need for that protective bubble. Now I'm like my energy is my protection because
yeah,
when you have a high vibration energy, it deflects anything that's lower because nothing lower in vibration wants to hang on to you. We're too
right,
boring. Like, oh, I don't want to be near that. So I
hmm,
find that for me is kind of like my natural protection is if I keep my mindset clear and
hmm,
I have the inner awareness around me, then I'm
hmm.
not at risk for negative energy or anything else that can affect me. So that's kind of been my go-to. But it's really similar, with you're saying I use like the sunlight, drop the
Yeah.
sunlight down into like the heart center and the third chakra. So that was really
Hmm.
similar. Okay. All right. So I know that you do tarot,
Hmm.
and my question is, what kinds of things do can you discover using those cards? And I know, like, I had mine read when I was 17, and I thought that
Hmm.
was pretty cool because it was like something I didn't know about, so that was really neat. So, what do you mainly focus on when you do a reading for someone? What kinds of things is your focus, or is it what they want? What
Well,
happens?
it's what they want, and there's a group of people that need relationship help. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes the readings, they tend to want to focus on the other person, but
Yeah,
Spirit always wants you to focus on yourself, right?
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
within the cards, it's more a matter of things that you might need to work on,
Mm-hmm.
blind spots.
Right.
Sometimes it's clarification in
Right.
terms of what do you really want.
Yes.
So relationship readings is one thing. Other readings are dealing with people who they're stuck.
Mm,
I don't
yeah.
know what I want to be when I grow up, or I've
Yes.
been on this path
Keep
and I don't like it. What
yeah,
what do
keep
I
thinking
do, right?
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so
So I
similar.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say those are the two big categories, but
Mhm.
frankly, the cards can look at anything. I've
Mhm.
looked at world events, I've looked
Mhm.
at local events, I've
Mhm.
looked at, promotions,
Mhm.
house moving, should I get this
Mhm.
house, should I move, all those kind of
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
And I do a monthly insight that kind of gives insight into the next month's energies,
Mhm.
and those are really focused on what are, what are things to be grateful for? What are
Right.
things that are pitfalls, things that you need to think about?
Right.
What are the opportunities? And
Mhm.
then the fourth card is, what does spirit have to say? What
Mhm.
does spirit want you to know? And
Right.
those I find are really, they're kind of universal, but
Yes.
spirit answers to the people that are participating,
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
that's
and
the energy that you're drawing
yes.
in, right? So,
Yes, and often say too, like when I do, like again, people will come to me. The same thing is it's always about the person. So if a
mhm,
person says, "I want you to channel a reading for me about my family members," I do them and their relationship and what they need to do to understand the situation with a family member, but it's not about the family member. I might get like karmic, who they were in a past life and why that person's back in their energy field.
yeah.
Um, those kind of things. And also, like someone will say they want a future reading. I don't do that. However, when I do readings, they'll show me past, present, future kind of at the same time. So I don't know what it is. I just kind of know like the energy around that thing that they want to know. And that's
Hmm.
what comes in. But like like you, it's free will
Hmm.
and it's based on what a person needs, not necessarily what they always want to hear. So
Oh, yeah.
sometimes something will show up and I'm like, oh, I really didn't want to know, that it's my karmic lesson to learn how to get along with this person who's driving me batty. They don't
Hmm.
always want to know that. They want to know that they're right and the other person's wrong, and that never comes out.
No,
So
and then do you feel, Rosemary, that then it's your responsibility to kind of listen to spirit to
oh
figure
yeah,
out how to deliver that message to the person because spirit's gifted you to be
yeah.
able to deliver that, right?
One of the things, Kelly, is because I do a written reading, I don't have to meet with the person ahead. I have to hear their voice. It's all written out ahead of time. So by the
Hmm.
time they meet with me, usually situations have occurred for that person. So by the time they see me for the reading to go over it, they're like, oh, I just thought of that yesterday. I had that inclination last week, and the things in the reading will be verified, and that's always happened. And it's just a thing that spirit does when they're trying to shift people. It's like, yeah, we've been telling you that, and this lady's just verifying what you already should know, or what we've been trying to tell
Hmm.
you for like
Yeah.
years. So
Yeah.
it's yeah. And then of course, just being able to work with people, knowing the sensitivity spots. I'm careful when I speak to people. However, I have to go with what the reading has come in without changing the wording, because that's what's channeled to me. So there's
Yeah.
that fine line we walk.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Do you find,
yeah,
Rosemary, that there's certain trends coming up lately?
yes,
Overall patterns and trends
yes.
that you're seeing with
Yes,
people?
I do. I do. We have a break coming up, so we're going to come back to that question right after this quick sponsor break. We have about 8 listeners. Come on in, please listen. Don't go away. We'll be right back, okay? We'll come back with that question, okay, Kelly? Welcome back to the Light Walker's Path, Grow Your Spirit with Rosemary and my guest, Kelly Malcolm. And today's program and broadcast is about kind of shifting you with some messages for the new year. And Kelly and I both were talking about patterns that we're seeing. And like you were saying, one of the patterns I'm seeing with clients at this time is they feel they're floundering around trying to find themselves. And I think it matters not so much with the age group, but just when people are ready to make shifts. So I'm seeing changes in relationships. I'm seeing changes coming in with what do I need now? What do I do now? I hate my job. Where do I go now? So I'm seeing a lot of kind of stressed out, tired people that need to have a new insight or understanding. So I wanted to share a quick message I had channeled yesterday. And what I do is I ground myself, I say prayer, and I ask the angels if there's any messages they have for the people that will be listening today or the people that'll be sharing and listening to the broadcast a different day. So this is what I got. Focus on positive change and keep your mindset on service, help, and gratitude. There are forces that are helping you. Remember, humans, that you live in a vibratory construct of patterns. It is created based upon thought, heart centered energy, coherence, and perception. Thought forms clutter the astral realm and they can fool you. Those with a higher vibration can lift energies of others and connect into the higher realms of the angelic and divine. Therefore, do not be influenced by lower energies of fear, distrust, and ego. It is running rampant right now. And that was
Boy,
the channel message. Yeah.
oh,
So,
that's wonderful and
yeah.
so spot on, Rosemary, for, when you were describing your patterns
Yes,
and what
absolutely.
people need to hear.
Yes. So what patterns are you seeing right now? Did you have a certain one that is common that you're hearing now?
Yeah, you mentioned relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's not only the relationship significant others. I'm also seeing lots of changes even within family and family dynamics and
Yes.
family relationships, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's one huge category. And the second
Mm-hmm.
category is people questioning, what have I been doing for these past few years?
Yeah.
Questioning, is it this the I think they've hit a wall and they don't want to keep doing what they're doing. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot of questioning. I guess that would be the best way for me to respond. Yeah.
And I know too that the angels have told me that this is a great time of change and
Oh, yeah.
we're being faced with kind of like, get off the fence. Are you here? Are you there? What is your belief? What do you want to do with this part of your life? And how are you going to help to shift and change yourself so that you can also be a guide for others? So even in family members, I find that we find ourselves in a position where we might be the peacemaker. We might be a person that needs to pull back at times to protect our own energy. So there's different dynamics in family groups that teach us because it's karmic. We're
Yeah.
with our family members because there's a reason for it. We
Mhm.
go through things for our own spiritual benefit. So, Kelly, did you pull some cards for today that can guide some
I
people?
did. And
So, what do you have?
I love it when I hear you reading and then I can tell you what the cards were. So the
Yeah.
first card I pulled was, our opportunities. And what
Okay.
came up for anybody that reads cards, you probably can't see it on camera,
That's
but
okay. You can fix it.
it's the 5 of Wands, which is
Uh,
conflict. So you're like,
okay.
how is conflict an opportunity, right?
It always
But
is,
it
right?
is an
Yeah.
opportunity because Spirit's telling people, this is your time. This is,
Mm-hmm.
it's a growth moment. It's a time for you to see the conflicting ideas, the conflicting family patterns, the conflicting, say, career paths as something that you need to decide instead of being stuck in that negative energy.
Yes.
Conflict is a time for birth and regrowth, right?
Mm,
It's if you make the right decision, which what funny enough was the next card. If you
uh-huh.
decide that I'm going to move forward, you clear that energy and you allow space for something new to come up. So,
Yes.
so conflict can be repatterned into opportunities,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And that was the message of that card. Then the pitfalls or what to look out for is what
Mhm.
you just said, sitting on the fence. I got the Two of
Yes.
Swords,
How
which is
funny.
somebody who is refusing to make decisions. They've got the
Mm-hmm.
blinders on or the ostrich syndrome. Stick my head in the sand and this
Mm-hmm.
conflict will go away. And
Right.
spirit is saying, no, no,
Mm-mm. Gotta
that
clear it.
that's, yeah, you've got, and that's where you've been maybe keep repeating the same patterns over and over because you're
Yes.
refusing to deal with this conflict, right? It's not going
Mm-hmm.
to go away. Now,
Yeah.
the opportunity is spirit is it's the King of Cups. And he can be kind of a tricky guy, right, in the cards,
Mm-hmm.
but he can be emotional intelligence. So
Mm-hmm.
your opportunity is to tap into all those gifts spirit has given you and emotional intelligence that when you align your thoughts, which could be new thoughts, how do I
Yeah.
create opportunity out of this? And put a feeling tone into it that is high vibratory feeling tone, then you're going to lift everything and recreate. And
Mm-hmm.
what spirit, and this is so funny, what spirit, then I said, okay, what do you want to say? And you get the Ace of Wands. And the
Oh,
Ace of Wands is all about new beginnings, good news, growth. So
mm-hmm.
instead of seeing the glass half empty, spirit is
Mm-hmm.
saying, at least to me, the glass is not half empty or half full. That's been your problem. The
Mm-hmm.
glass can always be refilled.
Yeah.
There's always new ways of looking
Yeah.
at something. You just need
Yeah.
a different perspective, right?
Effective. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what
Yeah.
Spirit's saying is this is a time for change so that you can
Yes.
clear out the old and
Mm-hmm.
build something new that's going to be in alignment with who you're becoming.
So
So
that
that's
when
what we
you
got.
mentioned the crisis card, it was so interesting because in Chinese philosophy, there's a symbol that is the crisis symbol, but it means opportunity. And
Mhm.
it's almost like a fire. So when the fire burns something old, a new thing emerges, like a phoenix, right?
Mhm.
And so it's always an opportunity. Before I actually do a reading with someone, I will ask them what patterns keep showing up, what kinds of personalities are in your energy and what types of things bother you because that shows me their pattern and then I'll
Yeah.
know where to start and what to ask. So that's kind of how I do with the readings is asking where their patterns are because that's a great tell for where I can start guiding or asking the angels to guide.
Mhm.
um, I did like that, it's funny when you mentioned feeling tone. So I was a school teacher for 32 years, and I know that I think you said you were trained in teaching as well. Did I
Mhm.
read that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we always talked about the feeling tone. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I just said that yesterday to my husband. I said, well, you're going to
Yeah.
watch that feeling tone. But it's important because the energy we put out is perceived by people around you and
Mhm.
they pull in that energy as either positive or negative, no matter the words, but the energy. So people read
Mhm.
the energy, and we, like animals, they read energy. Children read energy before they understand what the words actually mean. They know like
Yeah.
how you're feeling and what's going on. So that's neat. Yeah, thank you for that. That was great. And I agree, it's now is the time.
Mhm.
So I will pull my cards. I had asked what things can you look at to help people understand where they are in life and like what kind of clues is spirit giving us. So the first card I got was the dreaming card. And the
Mhm.
reason why that showed up is because this is something I learned from a dream expert, Michael Sheridan. He was saying that in your dreams, if someone shows up as a friend, that's a part of you that's internalized in your dream. And if someone shows up as a teacher, a policeman, someone with a position, that's actually a guide. And the things that are in your dream actually give you clues to what you need to shift or change, or what your karma is showing you, or where you're stuck. So I thought that was cool.
That
The
is.
next card I got was to tap into the energy of your guardian angel by asking. So for me, when I channel or when I need advice, I kind of go into heart center and I say, okay, angels of God, what do I need to know today? How can you help me? And I'll usually get an inclination, something, a thought that comes in quickly, a coincidence, or something that will give me the information that I need. And that's for everyone as well. The other one that they want to remind you of is have time for enjoyment and playfulness. Because in our creativity and in our happiness and in our joy, you remember who you are, you find your authentic self, and you
Mhm,
enjoy your life a whole lot more when you find those moments to do things you love.
mhm,
And the last card I got was a unblocking card, and it is the harmony card. And people, when they're in resonance and alignment, are harmonized with their soul purpose. So when you are out of harmony, in disharmony, you are also many times in disease or distrust or
mhm.
just feeling off.
Yep,
It's
yep.
aligning back with authentic self and what your mission is. If you don't know your mission, that's when I tell people to go into their heart space and ask themselves, what do I love? What do I want to do next? What
Mhm.
brings me joy? What's my next right step? And it's just a small step that leads you to other
Yeah.
steps, right?
Yep. Yeah,
So,
it is. It's like we talked about before, kind of the following the Hansel and Gretel,
yes,
following the
following the
breadcrumbs.
breadcrumbs.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, all right. Do you consider yourself an introvert, an extrovert, or both?
I think I'm both, but I
Mhm.
can tell you, I pick up energy by being by myself and in nature. That's
Me
how I
too.
recharge,
Me
right?
too. That's
But
beautiful.
because of being a lawyer and having to be, in courts and all this kind of stuff, people would probably see me as an extrovert. But I
Yes.
honestly think everybody is part of that spectrum depending on the situation. There
Yes.
are there are times where you feel
Situational. Yeah.
very comfortable, like in family gatherings.
Oh, yes.
There's hardly any extroverts that I see at family gatherings, right?
Absolutely. Like trying to
Yeah,
I always think when I'm in a group, I feel like that 10-year-old again. It's like where am I? Where's my big adult
yeah,
self go?
yeah.
That's so true. That's cute.
So go ahead.
I was going to say we just got a comment and I was going to read it. But
Mhm.
yeah, so Gina said, I love your message, Rosemary. I was so glad to find you today. Looking forward to seeing what 2025 has in store for us. Love you, my friend. You are amazing. You have beautiful energy. Blessings, Gina. That's one of
I
my friends.
agree.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
beautiful. Thank you.
yeah.
Yes, I wanted to read that. Thank you. Thank you. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Okay. Yes. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I guess, just to kind of piggyback on with, your reading and things. I think that when people find your show, Rosemary, it's
Hmm.
for a purpose,
I
because
hope so.
spirit leads people in different directions.
Yes.
And, you could be the door and the opening for
Yeah.
people to start exploring, say,
Hmm.
their spiritual purpose or their soul purpose.
Right.
Because sometimes I don't think people realize they have one. And
Absolutely.
so just hearing the message, that you're saying and asking, really basic questions to get in
Yeah.
touch,
Yes.
that's kind of, the beginning of everything, right?
Very. Yes, I agree. Okay, we're coming up on a sponsor break, and after the break, we'll continue our conversation. This is the Lightwalker's Path. Grow your spirit with Rosemary. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the Lightwalker's Path, and my guest today is Kelly Malcolm. And Kelly reads tarot cards, and she is actually a lawyer as well. And we had shared some messages earlier in the broadcast. So if anyone wants to text us and ask a question, that'd be awesome. And we'll pull cards if you are listening live. Um, and I just wanted to ask you a couple questions, Kelly. So when you were younger, first, where did you grow up? Were you always in Colorado, or were you someplace else when you were younger?
No, my father worked for IBM, which stands for I've been moved.
Oh, you've been
So,
moved.
yeah.
Okay.
So I lived in lots of different places. I was born in Florida and
Okay.
lived up the East Coast. He
Oh,
got transferred out to Seattle, Washington, so I lived on the West Coast.
uh-huh.
And I came to Colorado in 1981.
So
And
you loved
because
it
of
there.
moving, yeah, because of
Yeah.
moving so much, I wanted to find out what it was like to be in one place.
Okay. Okay. And you like being in that place, I imagine, right?
I love it. Yeah, I do. I don't want to do any advertisements because I don't want people moving here because it's
Yeah.
perfect, right?
Right?
But yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I mean, we
great.
just have a lot of nature and things
Uh-huh.
that you can do.
Yes.
Skiing is one thing, but there's the hiking.
I love the
There are so many festivals that
Yeah,
you
that's
can go
fun.
to, which are free. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a great place.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I my husband and I love to hike as well, and we're near the Appalachian Trail here.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of nature areas, and actually where I live, even though it's New Jersey, it's quite rural. So, there's cows up the street, there's a horse down the road, it's pretty natural. The problem
Hmm.
is though, you get on the highways and there's a lot of people. It's
Yeah.
pretty populated in New Jersey here. But
Hmm.
we enjoy it. Um, okay. So as far as things you do for yourself, like for me, I go for massage. Sometimes I go for acupuncture. What are some of the things that you do that you enjoy that help you out? What kinds of things, or do you? Do you do
Yeah,
some care?
I do. And you mentioned it in your reading, and I just
Hmm.
feel like it's really good to bring it back up to your audience. But the
Yeah.
joy, finding joy, and
Yes.
so humor.
Oh
Spirit
yeah.
has been talking to me about
Uh-huh.
humor
Love
and
that.
just the energetic release. But
Yes.
each day, I try and find something to laugh about.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's
whether
good.
it's funny animal videos, like there
Yeah.
were those videos about the fainting goats that went
Yeah.
through a while ago, and
Yeah.
just to get a good belly laugh
Uh,
and a good
yeah.
chuckle.
Yeah.
That's something that I don't think we do enough. When we're
Right.
kids, they
Mhm.
giggle
They're
about
always laughing.
everything, right?
They do. They
And
do.
when you become an adult, it's like you think you can't laugh. I don't know who gave
Yeah.
that rule or law, but
Yeah.
it doesn't exist.
It's
So
funny. I
I
love to listen to those comedians, Kelly. That's one of the things I was doing this morning for the podcast. There was a comedian from Australia. He was just cracking me up. It's just he was so funny, and I love that. I love laughing. And my father was quite
yeah,
a card. He was very funny, so I love that. Yeah. So
yeah.
you love to laugh too. That's great. Yeah, I
Hmm.
agree. Good advice.
Yeah.
Good
And
advice.
and then, as you mentioned, yes, there's the massage. And I think for me, I use journaling an awful lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a way for me to get the stray thoughts down. If I
Mm-hmm.
decide I'm going to act on them, I can do that later, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way of processing emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Another way of reframing things, because I can
Uh,
ask myself, how else
yeah.
can I look at this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or how would my dad see this situation?
Yes.
You can do
Yes.
different things. So I
Yes.
think that's important. And then I think it's important sometimes just to take breaks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's 5 minutes and you go outside and see what the
Mhm.
weather's like.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah. That's good.
I try to when I have people that kind of exude that negative energy, because that happens
Mm.
when you're in the
Yeah.
legal field.
Oh, I'm sure.
Um, yeah, yeah, it's a matter of, well, there's ways you can reframe it to say, this
Mm.
doesn't have to affect me.
Right. That's their thoughts.
I've got given tools, and it's
Mhm.
up to them to use these tools, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there's ways that you can kind of detach, I guess would be a
I
way of
think
looking at it.
that's good advice. I always say that, the negativity is about them, not me. So
Yeah.
whenever someone is in that space, I just like, oh, that's so sad that they're in that mindset and they're not in my
Hmm.
mindset, which is happier. The thing with writing, like I don't journal a lot, but I do write constantly. So when I'm writing my characters, I add characteristics in them to work through their problems in the
Yeah.
story to show people well, this is what you can do if you're with this kind of personality or that. And
Yeah.
in my middle grade books, there's a lot of humor. And I laughed just writing the book because I was writing it from the viewpoint of a young 12-year-old boy. And
Hmm.
so a lot of funny situations come up. And I was just laughing through it because I was like, oh yeah, I remember that my son was younger, or when I was teaching kids, that one kid in my class.
Hmm.
So,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
and it goes back to, life is a gift.
Mm,
It's not a burden, it's a
yes,
gift. And each
yes,
day you need to look for those gifts,
yes,
even
yes,
when it's tough days, and we've all had them. But if
that's
you can
right.
just find something that you can hang on to during those
Absolutely.
days, and with your
Yeah,
characters, don't you find that you
I
take them
love it.
through some tough stuff and then
Oh yeah,
have them
yeah.
work it out? Yeah.
Yes, I love those little people in my head, that and when I'm away from my writing too long, like I miss them. I want to go back and revisit, what happens in my story or something. I'm actually working on a YA. It's for like young adults and adults,
Mhm.
and it's called Child of Lights, Maiden of Lights. So it's going to be a series of 3 books, and it's based on a young person that changes a whole village by her light and by her messages. And it's really going to be, I think it's going to be interesting. I've been working on it for a long time, and the first one's ready to publish pretty soon. So it'll be book number 12. So
Well, good for
I'm
you.
getting
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of people in my head there that I have to get out. So yeah.
Well, they've
But
all got a voice and something that
yeah,
they need to say, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Hmm.
And I try to bring it through to attract people, because once you read it, you'll see like parallels to different things. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Okay. Um, what kind of people do you resonate with the best?
Oh, probably woo-woo people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
that's the
ones the
best
ones
way.
that are a little left to center. It's like that those are my people.
Yeah,
Love that.
and I'm finding that there's more and more people opening up to what I call the
Yeah.
woo.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and there's woo-woos that are closeted in woo-woos, because I've met people in all walks of life that have amazing experiences that they don't tell anyone, but they've told me. So I'm like, wow, no one knows that, but I know it, because you shared it. So
mhm.
yeah, yeah, I think it's just a commonality in humans that other cultures have embraced in ancient times and we forgot. Everybody's so concerned with what other people think of them that they're afraid just to be themselves. Oh, I might say something wrong. I might insult someone. They may not like me. And I see a lot of that. You're asking about what clients worry about. That's probably it. If I mention this,
Yeah.
I'm going to be judged.
Yep.
And I think that's pretty common.
Yeah, I think so. And it depending on how people, define it. But
Mhm.
to me, it's people that are willing to look outside conformity
Yeah.
and to say, what if?
Yes.
Because all great inventions, everything that we experience, this internet, was
That's
because
right.
of a woo-woo person, somebody
Yeah.
that was
Someone
saying,
had an idea.
what
Yeah.
if, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes in my world, when people find out you're a lawyer, you're a tarot card reader, you're a spiritual teacher, it's
Hmm.
like it can't compute. And so
Yeah.
what I end up telling them, Rosemary, is it's all the law.
Yeah.
It's how you apply
Universal
it.
law.
You
Yeah.
have man-made law and you have
Yep.
spiritual law. And most
Absolutely.
people understand man-made law like a red light. If you have a
Yep.
red light, people know to stop or else you're going to get into an accident or get a ticket. But with
Hmm.
spiritual laws, they don't see the red lights and they blow right past them. They don't
Hmm.
know the tools. When it's
Yeah.
man-made law, you know to use a brake. When
That's
you're
right.
when you have spiritual laws, Spirit's given us soul tools. That's what I call them to
Yeah.
use so that you
Yeah.
can navigate. And that's kind of what my book's about
I
because
love it.
Spirit is basically telling people you're blowing past a lot of these red lights. and,
Yeah. And
and
it
that's
just
where your disconnect is coming from,
I love
right?
it.
Yeah.
Yes. It just reminded me of, Kelly. It's like, all right, if a person sees the red light and they go through it anyway, they're breaking a universal law, because even if no one's watching, It's choosing to do the right thing with integrity. And that's
Yes.
kind of like how the two things, I mean, yeah, I can get
Mhm.
away with it, but should I? Is that like a universal, is that the right thing to do? So I think, when
Mhm.
especially with us in the realm that we are, we're really called to walk our talk and live authentically and not and as soon as you screw up even a titch, a tiny little bit, you're kicked in the head because you're like, remember that? You've got to walk your talk. So, we're always called. I remember years ago, if I ever said anything negative about anyone at any given moment, they were always right behind me. And it's happened a few times when I was younger. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I knew better. Why did I say that? And it's
Yeah.
taught me, you always have to be mindful of how you walk in the world and what you say and the energy you put out. And that
Yes.
was that was it. Yeah. Oh, we're coming up on a sponsor break. This is the last one, Kelly. Okay, this is a sponsor break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us if you're listening. Thanks. Welcome back. This is the Lightwalker's Path. Grow your spirit with Rosemary, and my guest is Kelly Malcolm. We were talking about universal laws and how you have to walk your talk, or else, especially if you're in our realm, we get kicked upside the head if we don't do that. And that's part of our learning to always stay true to our authentic self to help other people find theirs. So, as far as a universal law, mine is the one I always follow is high integrity, and I know you do as well. Is there
Mhm.
another one through your teaching or through your life that you are like, that's the one, that's the one that I love or I follow?
Actually, two came to mind, but I'll
Okay.
briefly discuss what I think is probably the biggest one
Okay.
that is the most important, and
Hmm.
it's called the law of being in
Okay.
metaphysics, okay? And
Hmm.
it's tied into the I am statements.
I love I am statements. Yes, I'm very
And
aware.
we are, you know, we're human beings, not
Hmm.
human doings.
Doings. Yes.
And there are so many times that people define themselves by their relationship status, by their bank account, by their
But
looks, by
yes.
what they do, their
Hmm.
profession. And
Absolutely.
that's not who you are.
No, no, and
You
that's great.
you
Yes.
you are, you're a spiritual being
Mm-hmm.
having a human experience.
Experience. I love
And
that. Yes.
spirit expresses itself through core values,
Yes.
meaning integrity, meaning maybe exploration, maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's knowledge, maybe it's fun, maybe it's creativity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
I
that
agree.
to me is such a shift because if you live from an I am, from a
Mm-hmm.
being becomes your doing. Like as you were
Okay.
just
Yes.
saying, the law of integrity.
I love
If I
integrity.
am integrity, have integrity, or I
Yes.
am acting in integrity, all my results will be that way too.
Absolutely. Yeah, no,
You
that's
know,
really great. I agree.
and
And I think people that are lost are living for the stuff. They're trying to fill the hole with stuff, with what I can
yeah.
buy, with my house, what I look like, with all these fillers and fake stuff these young, beautiful women are doing to themselves. They don't
Hmm.
understand, like, they have to develop the inner spirit to live authentically. Yeah, I love the
Yeah.
I am statements. Yeah.
Yeah, and people also define themselves, Rosemary, by their problems. I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
and to
Oh,
me,
poor
it's like,
me, right? I know.
and so,
Yeah.
this law is so expansive. And
Mhm.
that when you really start at living from it and acting in
Mhm.
accordance with it, your life can take a 180.
Oh, I believe that's so true. And I think
Yeah.
when people are so focused behind themselves, they're not focused where they're going. They're just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this happened to me when." And I know it's hard for people that have had traumatic childhoods, addictions, and there's things that are very, very deep that they need maybe help to shift from. But
Hmm.
if you always allow that to take up real estate in your life, you will never shift and move ahead and like take back your power for the next
Yeah.
part of your life. So that's really important, is to be able to understand that you don't have to be bound by the past because the past is in the past. If you
Yeah.
can, transform it and work with it and then shift it to the future, it's so much happier. It's so much better for people. Yeah.
It is, and that's I think a lot of times people will define themselves, as you were saying, by their
But
past, by
mhm,
failures. I mean, just all sorts of
mhm.
stuff, and I'm like, it
Yeah.
to me that never has made sense.
No. And the
It's
self-talk
something,
too. Yeah. The self-talk, it's like when people beat themselves up for something that they did or choice that was not helpful to them. But if they don't learn from the choice, then they're right, they are stuck. So if
yeah,
something has happened, learn from the choice and shift it. What did you
hmm
learn from it? That's the best lesson or the best thing to ask yourself. What did I
hmm
learn? And will I learn enough that when this comes around again, I'm going to identify it and not choose that.
right,
It's
and then that ties
learning.
into that, yeah, that ties into the other law, which has been named different things, but you reap what you sow.
Oh, yes.
And
Yeah,
what
absolutely. I love
people
that one.
But when you're talking about the self-talk, you're going to
Mhm.
reap that in your life if you're
Yes.
talking poorly to yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Because that's what
It
you believe.
just
Yeah. Yep.
and it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It
So
is.
those are in my book I have 7 different laws, that I talk about, but
Beautiful.
those are kind of the biggies, but they're all
Yes.
big as far as I'm concerned, right?
They
But
are. They are.
it
Yes. I love
helps.
the law of attraction too because it's very
Yeah.
similar. It's like what your energy is what you are shown, like the world's a mirror for us. So what
Mhm.
you put out is what you're going to mostly see back. And if you don't, there may be like I don't know, there may be a lesson in it that if you're seeing something that is not matching your energy, there's something that you're not seeing. So there's a lesson in that as well. But the world's a mirror.
Mhm.
We get
Well,
what we put in.
it is, and then the one thing that is just coming to my mind at the moment is when people are asking, sometimes they'll ask about hows, like,
Yeah.
how do you do this, right? And one of the things that I find is a real good challenge for people is go and have a complaint-free day. Do
Oh, I love
not
that. That's a good
complain
idea.
to anybody, right?
Not even
And
yourself.
see, well, and then that's the next thing, right?
Yeah.
See if you can
Yeah.
do it not with other people, then
Yes.
work on yourself, right?
On
And
yourself.
try not to complain.
I
You'll be
love that.
amazed at shifts
Yes.
in energy that'll happen
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good because what you focus on
Mhm.
increases, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so then we're coming up on the last couple minutes here. So I wanted to let people know that we'll give your website address. Do that
Okay.
first. Go ahead. Tell me your
Um,
website address.
it's livelifefully.net.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Okay, and mine is rosemaryd.com. My business name is Hands of Light. And I shift people with workshops, sessions, books, courses, one-to-ones, angel readings, intuitive talk sessions, and more. So you can visit my website to find out more or book in a free 30-minute discovery session to ask about a product, a service, or something else. And Kelly, I know that we want people to visit your book and your website as well
Yeah.
to
Yep. So,
connect with
so
you.
Yeah, so if they go to my website, they can click on upcoming events because I give free workshops every month. They can book
Mm-hmm.
a tarot card reading. They can book a
Perfect.
free strategy session. And when I
Okay.
get my second book in a
Yes.
downloadable format, they'll be able to
Yes.
buy it off my website.
Perfect.
I
Love it.
also have a monthly newsletter that people can sign up for, and it's once a month, and you get the updates. And I'd
Perfect.
love to have you.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Lightwalker's Path. I'm Rosemary DiTrolio. Please stop in again Tuesday at 10 a.m. to listen to my show again. And enjoy the rest of the day. Keep your mindset clear. And thank you so much, Kelly. I loved having you here as my guest today. Thank you for your energy.
Thanks. Thanks, Rosemary. It's been a
All right.
blast.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
I'm your host, Rosemary DiTrolio, and you've been watching and listening to The Lightwalker's Path. Learn about my workshops, sessions, courses, and more at info@rosemaryd.com. My website, rosemaryd.com, Hands of Light by Rosemary. Have a blessed and beautiful day.